And it's Ken Kreitzer for Sons of the American Legion Radio, and have a chance to talk with a good friend, Jeff Gunderson, on thoughts for members of the military maybe leaving, looking for career opportunities. And Jeff, good to see you.
Hey, good to see you, Ken. We've had a lot of success working with military grads and placing them in the for-profit industries.
Absolutely. Now, maybe Jeff Gunderson, if you would just explain a little bit about your company and its background, Executive Connections.
Well, Ken, I come out of a 30-year career in marketing and business strategy consulting. I started the first decade with Deloitte Consulting in their flagship office in New York City, and working mostly for Fortune 100 clients in marketing and sales and distribution transformation. In the last 2 decades, I've had my own firms, Gunderson Partners, LLC, and then Executive Connections, LLC. And these have been smaller firms by design, anywhere from 15 people, the size of my current firm, to 40 people in Gunderson Partners, the previous firm. And we focus on marketing transformation. We help companies, both large and small, to build modern marketing organizations and to transform marketing from underperforming to extraordinary.
Well, that's terrific. I know you have said that in your practice that former career members of the military, people who have gone through military educations, whether academy or ROTC, reserve officers, are really bring a lot to a civilian company. What are some of the attributes that you see in military leaders that is helpful in the civilian sector?
Well, Ken, this is really so appropriate because we're a functional specialty, marketing. So we're recruiting and building marketing teams, whether it's branding or it's communications or it's digital or it's analytics. And of course, all those technical functional skills are always important. But those in some ways are like the price of openers. What we have found in our experience over 20 or more years now in these 2 boutique firms that I've led is that we have found the unique value proposition of many military officers and ROTC officers and graduates as being that they bring stronger qualifications in 3 areas. 1, leadership. 2, adaptability. And 3, tenacity. And these are the things, if you look at many surveys which separate the successful executives in the corporate side from the average or less successful, it's about leadership, and that's the ability to set a mission and vision, to then create strategies and plans to accomplish that, and then to build and recruit and motivate a team in order to work together to accomplish that. And frankly, many of the people who've gone through the rigors of the military background and training have those leadership skills in greater proportions than maybe some of their counterparts from just the for-profit side.
And I know you do a lot of work in mobile communications and marketing plans. And what we saw is the military were leaders in using social media to try to do a couple of things to reach a younger audience, and then also to explain to families what their loved one might be doing on a deployment on a ship. They'd often show some of the lighter days, the birthdays, some of the commemorations that they were doing, and it helped. It's really helped the morale of military life, being able to embrace some of the new technologies. Now, do you see that transferable to some of the civilian occupations and companies that you're working with?
Absolutely. I'm thinking as you were framing the question, Ken, of one executive that we spotted who had been a graduate of the U.S. Naval Academy and then spent 5 years as an officer in the Navy working on the navigation and ordnance side, but had a lot of communication responsibility through that entire period. And then when he moved out after 5 years of military service, he moved and also had developed a global interest because traveled with the Navy, including places, including Asia, where he subsequently met his wife while he was in the military. and but became a very successful communications executive in the digital and mobile areas for one of the large global WPP group digital networks. And we spotted this executive, first name Sean, probably when he was 5 years into his transition onto the commercial side. And we saw and sensed his leadership capabilities, continued to track him for a few more years. And we successfully moved him maybe 5 or 6 years ago into a position that led to chief digital officer role. And this is among the chief digital and chief analytics officers, some of the newer roles that are emerging on the commercial side.
Well, we see a lot of people in the military that are experts in logistics, moving people and large numbers of people across the country, around the world sometimes, and how difficult that can be. And also we see, especially with our friends in the Army, is the commitment to manage your people and to support your soldiers, and to work, to develop them. And I know those are skills that I would think are highly sought after in the commercial segments. Where do you see some of the opportunities in some of the commercial industries and occupations?
Well, again, I think I could think of another example, an executive who was a U.S. military academy graduate in the early 90s, who served for 5 years in the military and ended up graduating and moving over. And with those people leadership skills, went into the retail sector and did an extraordinary job. And so much so got onto the radar screen of one of the regional banks, and became a branch manager in a bank, and ultimately, within 3 years within that organization, became a regional president of a group of 45 branches. Again, we had spotted this executive based upon their initial West Point background, and moved that executive probably about 5 years ago into a chief marketing officer role. And where they're currently leading all the marketing and strategy. I would say the other thing too is, in addition to marketing roles or digital roles, many of the officers that have worked for 5 years or more as officers in the Navy or the Army have really good strategic skills, and I think those skills help them well to translate to the commercial side.
Absolutely. And perhaps for someone in the military towards the end of their career or their service commitment, thinking about opportunities, what are some of the ways that they should plan their transition into the civilian commercial segment? And I know some think about educational opportunities there too. What are some of the things that someone leaving a career in the military should be doing as they plan their transition?
Well, I'd say that two things, Ken. First, a bit of it is personal planning and visioning, looking at your passions, looking at your purpose, looking at sectors of the industry that might be of interest for you to pursue. The second is really in preparing for this. We have a service called Brand Activate, and part of what we do is help people, for example, like coming out of the military service, to reposition, repackage themselves. And this can include everything from their resume to their bio, their headshot, their LinkedIn profile, so that their both online and offline brand identity really get prepared and positioned with the future direction in mind. Now, as part of that, one of the things we do with a number of even commercial executives who are in transition is we do an online confidential 360 evaluation, which is done for many executives in the commercial side. And we will have, for example, like someone come out of the military gives us, 75 or 100 colleagues, peers, former bosses, subordinates that have worked with them, and who come online and do an online confidential survey. And then we get together, we put that together into a report and help each one of those officers or executives to evaluate what are their core strengths, because there may be some real unique value propositions that they're not capitalizing as much as they could.
Absolutely. Great advice. Jeff Gunderson, CEO of